You're listening, and for the first time ever watching, the Labor Notes podcast, our show on rank and file news and organizing tactics. I'm Danielle Smith, an organizer at Labor Notes.
And I'm Natascha Uhlmann, a staff writer at Labor Notes. How's everybody feeling on day one of the conference? Well, we're so glad you're here because boy, do we have a show for you today.
Wait, I thought we were going to phone this one in.
Well, we kind of are already. Just kidding, who said that? It's not every day that we get to record a podcast with our 4,700 closest friends. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, and I know I made that joke earlier, but we looked on Sched and 4,700 people really did say they were coming, but there were a lot of flight cancellations, so.
Yeah, they'll just be walking in through the door any minute.
But seriously, it's really great to be here with you all. We actually do have a good show for you, we think. It's filled with goofs, organizing advice. We're gonna have some labor trivia, and we also have two special guests, assuming that none of you have looked at your program at this point.
Don't even think about peeking.
But before we do any of that, I hope you don't mind if we do take a little bit of a victory lap. It was our 1 year podiversary a few weeks ago, and it's been really cool because we are actually at the point where thousands of people regularly download our episodes each month, and people have really stuck by us as we've done this show every single week, dropping our episodes every single Friday at 5 a.m. on the dot. We actually dropped one this morning using some time machine tricky science, but we know you all set your alarms really early to get those latest episodes about secrets of a successful organizer, maybe someday our own secrets, stewards workshops, and also contract campaign trainings, not to mention all of our reporting on the major strikes and shop floor actions and organizing that all of you troublemakers are doing.
And another fun little detail, we are going to be taking on your organizing questions. So you see the index cards on your chairs. Please write down anything you want answered, and we've got some great, surprise guests who will be helping out with those.
Yeah, and so once you have those written, you can raise our hand, and they are going to be picked up by our star producer, Sindhu Sundar. I don't know if people know this, but Sindhu actually creates these really well thoughtful, thought out scripts every week that we use when we're recording. But we're actually not doing that today.
Not today. We're doing it live. Just kidding.
Okay, so it's genuinely been really good to hear from troublemakers every week talking about the organizing tactics and strategies that have been working for you all, and sometimes what's not working as well as you are taking all these fights and organizing to build power against the boss and to build a labor movement.
All of this has been a part of Danielle's master plan. Step 1, start a podcast. Step 2, go to the movies on company time and call it podcast research. And step 3, get sponsored by AMC.
That's really crazy. I would literally never say that I started a podcast. But since you did bring up AMC, I don't know if people know, but with AMC A-list subs, you can see 4 movies a week. And even if you only see 2 movies a month, it basically pays for itself. So if you can't tell, this is our first time ever doing a live podcast. We know you probably have questions about what does that even mean? Why aren't you at the Rosemont AMC watching a movie? Where are the smoking jackets that you guys are always talking about on the podcast? And the index cards, which you already explained. But yeah, it would be really helpful if you guys were able to give us a lot of feedback during this so we can sort of see what's resonating with you guys. I don't know, Natascha, how should they?
Well, if you like what you're doing, you can laugh and applaud and cheer. And if it's not really landing with you, you can cheer and applaud and laugh.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That'll really help us know what's working.
Good system.
Let's see, what else should people... Oh, this is being recorded. Huge shout out to the Labor Radio Podcast Network, who is recording this for us. If you are not familiar with the Labor Radio Podcast Network, sometimes we call them the Labor Riffing Podcast Network because they have a great weekly show where they sort of, highlight some of the best labor stories that have been on the radio or podcast that week. And it's a network of hundreds of shows and podcasts, and you can find them on laborradionetwork.org.
So we are going to kick things off today with a little bit of labor trivia. And the winner gets Absolutely nothing, because we didn't plan ahead.
Yeah, sorry, we were planning a conference.
No big
I love
deal.
quotes.
Maybe you've heard of it. It's called the Labor Notes Conference.
You guys should go. Sorry, we're being so stupid. Okay, one other thing to know, like we are hoping to post this online, and I do the audio editing. So I don't really have anything to say about that. Don't have side conversations. But if you guys want to like come up to the mics and just whisper, Danielle and Natascha are really cool, like really,
And they're good at podcasting.
and they're good at podcasting, and there's 1,000 people in the room, you can do that.
Definitely say that last one.
Okay, so how the trivia is going to work is we don't just have a Nicole Kidman slide. We actually have multiple Nicole Kidman slides. But in addition to that, we have some multiple choice questions that we'll put on the screen. We'll read them out. Once we're done reading through the question and the answer options, we want you guys to yell out what you think the answer is. And just shout out the letter. Don't worry about getting it right or wrong. The most important thing is that you're shouting the whole time, because when we shout, we shout. Yeah, and we win sometimes. And it's good for the audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So without any further ado, our first question. Oh, I totally forgot it's the freaking trivia time slide. Let's take a moment to take that in. Okay. Now it's time for our first question. How many languages were heard on the picket line at this year's JBS meatpacking strike in Colorado? Is it A, 17, B, 38, C, 57, or D, 72? Okay, a lot of B's,
The answer is an incredible 57 languages.
C, yeah.
3,800 workers at the JBS beef processing plant walked out on a 2-week strike that was later extended an additional week. And it was the first major strike in the industry in about 40 years. And a couple of those workers are at the conference, so if you see them, make sure to say hey. Okay, my turn. The name crew most prominently refers to a reform caucus in which of these unions? Is it A, the IBEW, B, the UAW, C, IATSE, or D, the Chicago Teachers Union?
Any other guesses? No, sorry, that was so rude.
It was loaded.
No, you guys were the only ones who answered. Okay. Okay, well, this one was kind of mean. The answer is actually A and C. Both IBEW and IATSE have reform caucuses referred as crew. IATSE crew launched in 2022, mostly out of frustration with processes that the members see as making it way too easy to greenlight bad contracts. And they had a platform that they refer to as STAND that they voted on at their last convention, which called for one member, one vote for leadership elections, and a shift to open bargaining and contract negotiation. So those are two of the things that Reform Caucus is fighting for. And IBEW Crew is also a Reform Caucus, emerged in February of 2023 out of a group of those aspiring reformers. But some of those aspiring reformers actually first met in person at the 2022 Labor Notes Conference. I'm not crying, you guys are crying. And of course, there are other groups that refer to themselves as crew. There's actually like a ton. It's kind of like a banger of an acronym, so everyone's using it. Okay, our third question. How big of a raise did workers win following their 53-day strike in 2024? A, 15%, B, 25%, C, 34%, or D, 38%?
C.
D.
Feeling C.
Okay.
53 days.
Okay. I heard one D.
All right, yeah, well, you got it. Boeing workers won an incredible 38% raise. Here's what John Voss, a steward at his facility, said to our coworker Jenny Brown, who reported on this for Labor Notes. He said, quote, "We put in a long, hard fight. Boeing does not get to be the bully that they've been in the past." End quote. And workers also won a promise to build the next plane in the Puget Sound area, but not before costing the company an incredible $5.5 million throughout the course of the strike.
Cool.
Okay, my turn. Which group of workers mounted a massive vote no campaign, rejecting a contract in June 2025 by a 74% no vote? Is it A, flight attendants at Air Canada? Whoops.
I'm in charge of slides.
B, letter carriers in the U.S. Postal Service? C, Nassman nurses at New York Presbyterian? Or D, UFCW workers at Kroger?
B.
D.
This quiz is kind of mean because all of these workers did mount massive vote no campaigns that were very impressive, but the one that did it in June 2025 by 74% was the workers at Kroger in Indiana. They voted no on a tentative agreement that would have given them 50 cents over 4 years, only for certain job classifications, as Caitlin Clark, an organizer with the Essential Workers for Democracy, reported at the time. And if you haven't heard of Essential Workers for Democracy, they are also a reform organization that is looking to build a network of rank and file union members across the United Food and Commercial Workers. So the members of UFCW Local 700 told Caitlin about how the contract doesn't factor in, or didn't factor in, the way they were taking on inflation and basically abandoned the vast majority of the workers, 70% who were part-time. The contract also didn't address staffing issues notorious in the sector. One worker talked about how common it was for them at like closing time in their self-checkout line to have 30 to 50 people. Has anyone ever worked retail before? It's terrible. The thing that's really cool about this that Caitlin reported on is how the workers were able to organize this no vote. She talked about how they distributed flyers at their home stores and neighboring stores, providing information about the contract with a QR code that linked to a Zoom meeting for members to get together and discuss next steps. They also made sure coworkers knew when, where, and how to vote, and they messaged in Facebook groups, chats, and when they had voted, and kept in touch with each other and kept updating how votes were going. Okay, no pressure, but you are being graded on this next question. You're not, and if you got the other ones right, it doesn't count. Only this question counts. So, how many episodes of the Labor Notes podcast, our weekly show on rank and file news and organizing tactics, are out in the world? Is it A, 53, B, 65, C, 3,500 billion, D, not enough, or E, I hate the podcast and the labor movement. I'm a CEO, actually. Hearing a lot of E's is kind of concerning.
The Labor Notes pod crew has put out 65 episodes on labor news, tactics, and strategy, as well as sizzling hot takes on why every movie ever made, yes, including Ratatouille, is an organizing movie, actually. Okay, I've got a good one. When you walked out of your casino on a fearless recognition strike, did you A, throw up, B, want to throw up, C, plan ahead of time by throwing up before you got there, or D, all of the above?
We got this one.
Okay, come on up. We are so excited to have, let's hold on. We are so excited to have Tera, Arnold, and Dakota Massman here with us today. They played a pivotal role in the recognition strike that took place at the, I always get the name wrong, the Horseshoe Indianapolis Casino in Shelbyville, Indiana.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you. Great. Thank you so much for coming out.
Absolutely.
No
Glad to
doubt.
be here.
And they will be taking on your organizing questions, so make sure to write them down if you got any. But before that, can you give us a little bit of background on your fight at the Horseshoe Casino? What were you fighting for, and how'd you do it?
So we were
Did you
fighting.
actually puke? Sorry.
I did not puke. I did see a few people that did, including one on the live craps table. I was not one of them, so very thankful for that. The nerves were very high for sure. We were actually on a strike for recognition, something that was very popular nearly 90 years ago. It was kind of the.
Just trying to adjust this.
It was kind of how people, 90 years ago actually fought to get recognition and to gain their union. Little different nowadays. So before our strike for recognition, the same thing was probably 49 years prior to
49
ours.
years, I believe, yeah.
So it wasn't a popular thing, and that's kind of where the nerves came from. But we gained our majority of people that wanted this union, and we did our demand for recognition walk on the boss, and we were ignored. Majority of the time we went to management or went to HR trying to get our recognition, we were ignored most of the time. Our election date was set, and unfortunately the government shut down. So it delayed our election indefinitely. And with everything going on, we weren't willing to wait and sit there and have the union busting inoculating us every day.
Constant union.
Mentally
Constant
just
union
war against us. So we took a vote.
92% of the people that
92%.
voted said, yeah, we're going out on strike.
Yeah. And so the day we went out, we set our alarm clocks. I was part of the walkout, so I mean,
October 17th.
terrible. I mean, my hands were sweating, knees are shaking. I'm at the table like this, and the minute we walked in, the whole floor was just swamped with IGC agents, police officers, management, GMs. Normal people that you don't see on a day-to-day working basis were there. Someone you couldn't usually get a hold of.
Finally, you're there.
Someone you usually can't ever find was there that day.
Some of the HR showed up.
Oh, wow, there they are.
Cool.
So we set our alarm clocks for noon. We all had our phones in our pockets.
Because there's no clocks in the casino, right?
No
There's
clocks in the
clocks.
casino.
No windows,
Yeah.
no clocks.
Yeah.
But
Can't know what time of the day it is in there.
Exactly.
Not allowed.
They went off, and we all threw our hands up. We used solidarity to hold our labor and walk out as a unit. The most powerful thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Nice.
Goosebumps head to toe. Dakota was outside, so
Yep.
he could give you a better perspective from the outside, but from the inside, we walked out together. They tried to hold people on the floor. We wouldn't leave unless we left together. We walked out together, and on the way out, we chanted and yelled, "We want union and we want it now." And we walked through that casino and paraded on our way out. Dakota could probably tell you what it was like from the outside.
On the outside, so while they were all getting all that ready, I was on the outside getting our little Hooverville constructed and all that, I wanted to make it look as homeless as possible out there. The shame of these greedy bastards, So I was out there on the strike line getting it ready while they were all doing the walkout, and you could hear a pin drop on that line out there standing across
it
the
was
street.
same in there, though.
Just my heart pounding like, dear
We're like,
God,
are they out
please
there?
get out here.
We're like,
please.
are they out there? Are they
Yeah.
going to be there when we get
Yeah, it
is
was
this
nerve-wracking.
real?
Yeah, and then when they finally ended up coming out, they were just ripping around this roundabout, people hanging out their cars, we're like, Jesus Christ, game on,
Yeah.
Like, seeing that, I was like, holy shit, like, we're doing it. Let's do
It was
this.
unreal.
Yeah.
Before we actually walked out, it was, they somehow the word got out. They knew what was going on. And, it was, are you doing this? Are you really doing this? Are we going outside? Are you sure our jobs are secure? And the nerves were just crazy. I've never had that type of situation ever in my life. I was number one seniority for dual rates. I've been there the longest, had the number one seniority, the most PTO, and I was risking everything. And I told them, I said, dude, look at me. Like, if I'm willing to risk this, I promise you, dude, but we have to have the solidarity and the power and the numbers to be able to do this. A couple people isn't going to matter, but a group this size, we've got this. We've got to stand together, got to have the solidarity. We have to have the numbers to have the power.
Yeah, and there have been dealers there for not even a month that said, like, are you guys sure about this? We're like, I've been here 6 years, dude. There's no other way. Things are not getting better. They keep getting worse every year.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, we're with you.
Yeah.
And so it was really inspiring to see even new employees be like, it's been that bad. I'm like, yeah, like once you've been here this long, you'll start to see it too, but don't wait 6 years for something like that. Jesus. And so they trusted us. So that was like that was a really cool human moment. Is people being like, all right, like you're the high seniority, worker, so you understand how it works, so we're gonna trust you. So it was really cool to see so many new dealers also just go out immediately out of the trading room and like go out on strike with us. Like, all right, fuck you, boss.
Yeah.
We've known you for 2 weeks. You suck.
There was some, but they had
Sometimes
only
you
been
just
up for a
know.
couple weeks, and they were willing to stand with us
Yeah.
and risk everything and go out there and help us do what we needed to do to have better. And it wasn't just a fight for ourselves, it was a fight for everybody after us, everybody that come in there, because the turnaround rate, unfortunately, in a casino, so it's a revolving door,
In the first 90 days, actually, 54% of workers are out in the first 90 days.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Rather than have this revolving door, let's change some shit so we can enjoy our jobs and have a workforce, and have some power behind us.
And we had good management at one point in time, and then they literally left.
Yeah, it just got worse and worse. And, most of the other departments are already union in there, so we got to see what it's like to have the union power behind them to give them the protections to keep them safe. And, we didn't have that. So when we were going through certain situations, we didn't have that. We had no voice for anything. It's just bow down to the management and do what they say, or you don't have a job because
Get a
there'll
new
be
job.
5 more right behind you. So Yeah, pretty nerve-wracking.
No, I love this story so much. I mean, so much of it resonates. I mean, I had the job I was at that unionized. Yeah, day one I went in and I was like, oh, this sucks. Like, you know me long, but I like that you guys were using the word trust because that's what I was thinking about when you were sort of telling that, like, the trust of the new employees trusting the older employees, the older employees trusting the newer employees, the people inside trusting that the people outside were there, the people outside trusting that the people inside were coming out, and just that like nerve-wracking moment.
We couldn't see what was going on, and they couldn't see what was going on, vice versa.
You had the relationships to believe, and so you, as you mentioned, this was back in October. I would love to know like where things stand now. Like I know I saw you guys having like a rally about like an LRB hearing, and also just where are things on that? Sometimes you talk about moving at the speed of trust, and I'm curious where you feel like you and your coworkers are in that movement.
So where we're at right now, we were at the NLRB in Indianapolis, and we had ourselves a little rally and all that because the company objected to our union, of course. So they had 3 objections. And so I was actually in the courtroom last week, kind of just observing and all that. And it was crazy because we put the director of HR on the stand. And we're like, all right, so do you have any evidence for objection 3? She's like, not that I'm aware of. Like, what are we doing here? Like, she just told us she's not, like, there's no evidence for anything. What are we doing?
Delay tactics are the main way of companies to try to gain more.
We ended up. We subpoenaed like 10,000 different like records that they had, employee paychecks and all that, to prove that they were getting they were fudging numbers on the strike and all that. We had a CPA come in to testify.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like $23 an hour average usually, and then during the strike they were getting like 34, and like we proved it with numbers. Like, see, they're telling us that we got bribed because of our strike benefit checks because we're Teamsters. Like, you were literally fudging the numbers in here and helping these dealers make more while accusing us of bribery. Like, you're literally having supervisors, pit bosses, drop tip money, and they don't take money from the tips, and so they would just drop money for the dealers. So you have people that are literally working that are not on the tote rate because we all pool our tips, right? And so they're fudging the numbers like that while actively telling us we were the ones that were being bribed, which is just crazy.
Let me tell you, the bribery they're speaking of is our strike benefits. So as Teamsters, we have a strike fund, and that allows us to have the voice to go outside and fight for what we deserve, because I'm telling you, if I had a strike fund of $100, $200, I'm not going to be able to have the voice to go out there knowing that, am I going to be able to pay my bills? Like, I'm a single parent. Like, I'm the only one that makes the money. So, I mean, really, no matter how hard it was, I don't know that I would have that power without those strike benefits. So that's something that's come into play here in the last 3 or 4 years. Fred Zeckerman has helped us get that in place, Sean O'Brien, and it has changed the game for having a voice to stand up for what you deserve. I mean, when you know that you can stand out there and still pay your rent, pay your phone bill, have food on the table, that gives you the strength to go out there and fight for what you need. So I'm so grateful for them being able to do that, because I don't know if without it, if we would have been able to have the numbers that we had. No,
absolutely not. I mean, we all know that the landlord and bankers don't give a rat's ass about where you're at. They're like, you need to pay your bill. Like, whatever you're doing, you need to pay your bill. Like,
even during COVID, you had to pay your bills. I'm sure they don't care about a strike. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
This reminds me of credit card bills due tomorrow. People didn't need to know that, but it's over.
It bounced up to 36% by tomorrow.
It's due tomorrow. Okay. We obviously have some expert organizers here with us, so they are going to help us answer some of these organizing questions. So we have some from things we get a lot from listeners or hear a lot from people in our networks, and then we're going to move to the audience questions. And we think for this part it would be fun if you want to imagine the workers writing these in kind of like Carrie Bradshaw style at their laptop, little diary column, Sex and the City
Love
vibes.
that show.
That's how I imagine it.
I know.
So our first question, I'll sort of model this for us. Our first question is, Dear Labor Notes, my coworker is a natural leader, but he's also extremely annoying. And I couldn't help but wonder, how could I move past my frustration and organize?
The age-old question. But honestly, if you're not dealing with at least one extremely annoying person and bringing them closer to the center of the organizing bullseye, is it even organizing?
Yeah, I feel like we're always saying, like, you need to have room. Like, there just has to be room for annoying people in your union, or else your union's not going to be big or strong enough. I guess we've actually never said that. We're usually talking about AMC, but we're saying it now. And it reminds, like, this kind of reminds me of, because I I love to complain, actually. And I think the best way to complain is to send a voice note to like one person you really trust. This is not the organizing advice. This is just me talking about my life. But there's an article on labornotes.org. Do you guys know labornotes.org? It's one of the few like good websites left. No,
You should definitely check it
no,
out.
yeah, you should check it out. No AI slop. We make all of our own slop. Just kidding, none of it's slop. I should get to, what am I trying to say? One of my favorite articles is this article. It's called Don't Complain, Organize. And it sort of talks about how complaining has a purpose. Like complaining, like you guys were talking, complaining is often where we kind of start to figure out what people care about and what their issues are. But complaining can also become like a graveyard. You can get stuck in complaining, and too much complaining can actually kind of create like a toxic and like divisive workplace. So I like this article because it talks about like how to move past complaining to like actually working with your coworkers to come up with your like shared analysis about the power balance in the workplace and how you can actually organize around the things you like all care about versus just complaining. So what I say about annoying people, assess why they're annoying. Like, do they need more organizing skills? Are they annoying because they're like the boss's pet? Because that's like thing that you might want to deal with that differently. But you can't write them off. You can't write them off.
Tera and Dakota, do you have any advice for dealing with an annoying coworker, but with your organizer hat on?
Yeah.
So while we were outside, that's one thing I really learned is there were a lot of personalities out there. There were a lot of different people, a lot of different personalities. So you had to be able to work as a unit, you know, understand one another, deal with one another, because the weather got really cold out there. And we were trapped in the tents with some weird people. But, I mean...
Who said that?
What? Who was that?
This
but
is
no,
recorded and going
we were
on.
a family. We were a family of some weirdos, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I was one of them. So, anyways, no, you got to understand that you guys are all fighting for the same thing. You've got to understand that there are different personalities, different types of people, there's all shapes and sizes. We're all going to be different. But we all want the same thing, what's best for us. So, you got to learn to work with people, find the best way to understand them, try to work your way through, understand that you guys are going to the same goal, you know, so different people, different situations, but you guys are trying to figure out the same problem, you know, so just try to understand one another, work with one another, and help each other get through it the best you can, you know. So.
Yep, you're all in it together, that's what I would say, and that's kind of something I always held at the front of my mind while I was on the strike line. Like, my fate is now inextricably tied to these people, whether I like it or not. We all go to, we're out there together. Doesn't matter what I think you. We're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
The boat's got to float, you know?
And you know, honestly, if you ever had like a toxic relationship with anybody inside before that, it switched.
It went away.
It went away real quick. And we all were like we were so close once we got outside. And it was like, you know, the separation of management, I believe, and just the toxicity of the environment that created a lot of these problems. When we went outside, we were a single unit family, and we were fighting for the same thing. And so, yeah, you're
we
gonna
were proud. We were proud of it, dude. It was like even freezing out there at like 5 in the morning, running like propane and Miss Cheryl, who's like an older lady with like diabetes and all that. I'm sitting out there on the strike line with frost on me.
got
like,
you, Cheryl.
This fucking sucks.
we're gonna
I love it.
and since it was 5 in the morning, you were also listening to the labor notes.
Yeah. That's why I was up.
Right. Okay, next question. Dear Labor Notes Pod, our union used to have really long, frustrating meetings. I'm trying to change that, but now no one's showing up to meetings at all. Help.
Well, when your union meetings are getting to be like 2 and 3 hours long,
Don't say it.
you might as well have them at the movies. That's like a Christopher Nolan film. You can see most things in IMAX.
You know, that's honestly not a bad idea. It reminds me of a great piece we published in 2017 called Bring the Union Meeting to the Members. If Danielle is the member you're trying to organize, you may have pieced together that you're probably going to have to hold a meeting at the AMC. But the
Movies a lot, huh? You like the movies, okay.
a little bit. A normal amount.
A normal amount for sure.
Yeah, but the piece talks about meeting people where they're at. You know, if you have a coworker who asks you, how was the union meeting last week? It might be tempting to say, well, you should have been there. But instead, the piece suggests you should strike a deal with him. You'll update him on the meeting every month if he goes back to his coworkers who he has lunch with and gives them a summary.
Yeah, and I like that because it's like, it's so much like you basically are creating this situation where like that member is having like these mini union meetings with people, which is just like better for organizing than like sending out a bunch of passive aggressive emails about people not coming to meetings. Who's gotten like a passive aggressive email about not coming to a meeting? And it sucks. I mean, you're like, well, I'm not going to the next one, you know? So I really like the and actually I'm gonna, because I'm just sure you guys had experiences where you kind of had to like contacting people who weren't, you know, coming to be contacted. How did you guys deal with that?
For me, I kind of accepted that I was somebody who cared a lot more, like just of a political philosophy. So to me, it was like, this is just something like I needed to do because I believed in it for what I politically believed. So I kind of, with that like decision being made, I kind of realized I was gonna have to be someone who's there at every single meeting and then do exactly that and just kind of break it down for other people. And then just along that way, never like coming at people, never attacking them, and just kind of walking them through it. Like I kind of realized most people don't have as much interaction with unions or even how all that kind of stuff works. And so you're gonna have to hold people's hands a little bit when you're going through all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I think coming like from a place of understanding we're all really busy. I mean, I don't have any kids or anything, but like people who do have kids, like some of my best friends do, they're constantly busy. And like you start to like realize that people don't have time to dispose like that.
And also keep in mind, like from the beginning, even in training, our first day that we were there, we were told, do not mention the U word. They wouldn't even say the word. It was, do not mention the U word. If you say that, you're going to be like, you weren't allowed to talk about unions at all on the floor. So to try to ask these people, as far as not being protected by a union at all yet, to go to a meeting that was involving organizing, that's scary to them, you know what I mean? And not only are they long or are they inconvenient, we had 3 different shifts, 200 different people that live all over the place. So it was like, to find meetings that were going to be available to everybody at the same time was
nightmarish.
Nightmare. So I think what we did was, you know, as we had these meetings and as the groups got bigger and bigger throughout these meetings, we all had like leaders on each shift. You know, you have your people that are the ones that people look up to or ask questions to, or, you know, they always go to them for something. Those are the people that are going to come to the meetings and they're going to spread the words at work. You know, we all went to the smoke shack. We all went to the same EDR to have lunch. So there are certain places that we had to have our conversations with them. We couldn't do it on the floor. But we had a lot of help as well from the slot attendants and people that were already part of the union. I mean, they can see what they've done for them. So, like, you can see what we need, here it is, you know what I mean? So just kind of encourage them by example through them was huge as well. But no, not everybody's going to be able to make it to the meeting or want to go to the meeting. They want the cliff notes. Yeah. So you have to have the people that are committed to doing this and want to put in the time to do it, to go. And I know it sucks sometimes and it's repetitive, but help them out. That's the only way you're going to get your group to get bigger, and that's how you get to your majority. Is you've got to get the word out. You've got to find your key people to get the word out, and then once people start getting more interested, they might go out of their way and go to the meeting, but you've got to sell it to them and have them informed of what's going on and fill them in on how it can help you, you know, make it interesting to them to be able to put in the time to go.
Natascha, why are we even here?
You guys shut this off. You guys are the podcast now.
We'll get you guys your Stewart's Corner smoking jackets. As soon as we get ours.
It's a little hot for there.
I was gonna ask if the smoke shack is like a food place or like a
it's outside smoking.
It's a shack smoking out back.
Are we invited? It's a really cheaply made pavilion with no walls on it that they think is warm enough during the winter. Not regulated with heat.
Freaking bird colony, dude.
It's a bird colony, actually, with a netting that they can poop on you from above. So it's really classy.
Nice
all of this sounds really legal.
Multi-million-dollar company. It's really classy.
So gotta keep it classy.
This sounds like a good organizing issue, which is good for the next question that we wanted to, that comes up all the time is, you know, people are like, Labor Notes Pod, you guys are always saying apathy isn't real, which is true. We actually do always say that. But you haven't met my coworkers. How do you organize people who actually factually just don't care about the union?
And I gotta say, I think apathy does not exist is really, really vindicated. I think our coworkers can sometimes do stuff that looks identical to apathy, but I think as you build relationships and get to the surface, there's basically always something else under the surface, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm just gonna kick it right to you guys about like how how did you deal with coworkers who, at least on the surface, were kind of presenting that they actually didn't care what was going on at all?
When I look at the biggest reason why people are anti-union, I think it's just what they've been fed mentally in their head, for one, or they've had a bad experience in the past. So what I'm kind of telling them is, the union's kind of like a Mexican restaurant, okay? You're going to have your good ones, you're going to have your bad ones, but I'm telling you, I'm never going to stop eating Mexican food. I love it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I look at the unions. Like, you're going to have your good ones, bad ones, but, Teamsters 135 has been so solid. And to even say that it would be a bad thing, we always refer to the slot attendant, refer to everything that we've been through and how they were treated differently than we were in that situation. Do you want to keep doing what we're doing, or do you want protection like they did? When the casino flooded and we were working under above live wiring and with no heat, do you want to be able to leave and have safety, or do you want to be forced to work through that shit? Because that's what we were doing, and I'm done with it, man. We need the protection to keep our workers safe, to earn a wage that's going to be suitable to raise your family. Like, you can see what it's doing for them. You know what I mean? So just kind of express the goods and the bads and how there are different ones, and try to let them know the truth.
Yep. And kind of along that same vein, like, I always try to get it across to people, we are all always going to be stronger together, especially when you're taking on a big company. Yeah. And so people are apathetic that I would talk to. I'm not asking you to get involved and to be an activist or anything. All I want is your support for the union. Start with something simple that people can digest. I'm not asking you to go to all these meetings or anything. I'm just asking you to keep your mind open. Vote yes. That's all you got to do. Start with that. Meet them where they're at. They might be apathetic or whatever, but truth be told, most people just want to go, show up to work, and they want to leave after 8 hours. Especially in the casino business when it's an adult Chuck E. Cheese, these are grown adults, and then you have to sit there can I see your ID? You're acting like an 8-year-old. So
We're talking about you guys.
Yeah.
I think that we've dealt with so much bullshit in there that it's we need the protections, and I don't know about anybody else, but a better wage to live with and better insurance, better protection. I mean, these are all things that, why would you say no to that? No, I don't want to be paid more. No, my health insurance sucks, but it's fine. I'll let it go. Come on, man. Do you really want to live like that? Let's move forward. Okay?
It's so true. So this is sort of last call if anyone wants to get in a last minute audience question. And I can't help but notice that you guys brought some posters from your strike. Do you guys want to show
this
those
is our
off?
strike girl.
Yeah.
Come on, strike girl.
Yeah, let's show those off.
Tina!
Wow,
Tina's actually one of our slot attendants.
She's a steward for the slot attendants, yeah.
She's a lead steward for the slot attendants. And let me tell you, during our strike outside, they didn't have strike protection with the other departments that were inside. So they weren't allowed to come out and communicate with us. They weren't allowed to join the strike. They had to go to work every day. And as they were going in, it was hearts and fists and loves, and they wanted to be part of it. But unfortunately, with their contract, they couldn't at the time. So, the slot attendants were super supportive.
The EVS people too. EVS. They're part of Unite Here's union. And the EVS people, they get pretty badly abused in there. Yeah. Casinos have a pretty dark underbelly when it comes to, depressive episodes. We'll put it like that. Yeah. Some people get crazy and bad things happen.
The thing is, while we were stopping all the traffic and stopping all the customers from going in there to help us get through this strike, they were forced to work inside. So I'm sure as a bartender, as a waitress, as a slot attendant, having the people not go in there is affecting their pay. At the same time, they're driving in we love you guys, keep fighting, and they were supporting us the whole time. Mm-hmm. That's solidarity even from the inside, and that's real power. So now that we've got this going and we can do a bargaining as a big group, and Caesars don't know what's coming to.
Yep.
We go for Caesars.
Yep. Cut off the table games, slots, and then the alcohol. You ain't got a casino left,
We have closed the door, okay? We're in charge.
So they're fighting us so hard. They do not want us to be unionized, because then we have all the big three departments essentially, 100%. And they do not want to let that happen, because they've already seen what happens when just table games dealers goes on strike. What happens when all the departments go on strike? They're gonna win in a day, dude.
My biggest question was why are they fighting back so hard when they already have so many other unions inside and have for a long time? And I think the biggest thing is if once we get going and we have the entire casino that's union, if we all walk out, they're screwed. Right now, if the table games aren't recognized or whatever, everybody else could walk out, but they could still run on table games. So it's the power that they're trying to just keep that so they can keep it running if something were to happen. Once we all have been recognized, we all have the power then. They will have nothing over us at that point. Then the working class is in charge. I don't want it. I already got the best job ever, thank you.
Okay.
Cindy, you want to hit us with a question?
Wait, let's give it up for our producer Sindhu again.
All right, there's a good one. My coworkers have grievances, but say, it's fine, this is as good as it gets, at least it's a job. How can we tell each other we shouldn't settle for scraps?
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like I've experienced that a lot. So before I worked for Labor Notes, I worked in like the media industry, and if you guys know anything about the media industry, it's like not doing well. So there was a lot of like a lot of just gratitude for just even having a job that sometimes made it hard to organize. But I think it's like when people are saying stuff like that, it's not really a one size fits all. Like I think it's good to kind of get at the reason they're saying things like, oh, it's not great, but it's okay, or like I don't want to rock the boat. Because it's often like, you know, in the U.S. at least, our jobs are tied to our healthcare. There's very little social safety net. Like we are put in a position where we really have to be afraid of losing our job. So it's not really unreasonable that people have that fear. But if we can sort of cut through the sort of thing they're saying, that like they're saying it's okay, but they're actually scared or something else. And if we can get to that, like the place I work, we would often, you know, be like, yeah, no, I totally agree. I also don't want to feel like we can lose our job at any time. That's actually why we're organizing. Like, that's why we want to win just cause. That's why we want these things. So I feel like that was always helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also just like true. Like maybe it is true that this is as good as it gets. Like it's a crappy job market out there. Maybe there is stuff you love about your job and don't want to risk it. But I think the point is that like even those things are at risk too if you're not prepared to fight for them.
Yeah, and I feel like you guys were getting it. Do you want to add? I feel like we're talking about this a bit actually.
You can go ahead.
You don't have to. You don't have
We
to. You guys just
dealt
crushed
with
it.
the people that are clock in, clock out. I just want to come and do my job and be, you know, under the radar type of people. That's what the company wants. They want you to surrender to them, do whatever they say. If they change the rules, you're going to follow them. And that's not how it needs to be. You guys need to follow the rules, do what's expected. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them in charge anymore because you never know what's going to happen from day to day. There's no protections whatsoever. Just Cause says you can just be gone or
At will.
It's just saying that you could be out the door tomorrow for literally no reason. I mean, when it comes to my job, I'm a single parent. That's important to me to know that I have protections with my job. I want the just cause. You know what I mean? So I need that.
Yeah, and then like kind of on that, like you might have one bad day out of the year, and then that one bad day is what gets you fired. But you just had like 364 good days, and so like, and I mean, I feel like most people agree with that. Like, you don't deserve to lose your job, barring something egregious, of course. Yeah. But you know, the unions are to defend people that are in positions like that. You know, you need to have that kind of backup, and especially in your contract. It's like what Dave always told us, and what I think it was Kyle. Your contract is your weapon. Like that's like you need to hold their feet to the fire always. You know, and as long as you're doing that, like it doesn't really matter if it irritates them. Even if it's like a small grievance, you should still pick those fights for sure. Yeah. Because there always, in my opinion, there should always be this air of not hostility with management, but always like, in my opinion, like a contract is kind of just a truce, sort of. Like, and when the contract's up, we go back to war until we get a better contract. You know, and so you should always just stay on those little things. Even if it's not a major thing that comes from it. It puts the company on notice, basically lets them know that you are onto them. And so even the little things like that, you need to constantly be picking away, always. Let them know that, like, I'm watching you. Yeah. Like, and then when they violate the contract, beat them over the head with it.
You fought to have this contract. Make them follow it.
Yep.
Don't let them have
it. They signed it. They agreed with it. What's the problem, you know?
Yeah.
So
because the minute you let them slide on it, the minute they think there's leeway to do whatever they want, and it's not that way.
You got to enforce your own contract, you know. Like some managers be like, I'm just not going to pay any attention to that if nobody else does. You know, they're not going to care. So you got to pick every fight that has to be picked, even the little ones. You know, let them know that you're watching.
Yeah, and it's funny thinking of how disciplinary casinos are. Both of my parents worked in casinos in Atlantic City growing up, and so there was always talk about like getting points for things. And I thought that was just like a normal every workplace. You go and you get points for like calling out or like something going. And then eventually I grew up and I learned. I mean, there's probably other places, but it's casinos. Yeah.
Are you really good at gambling?
Oh, that's not one of the audience questions.
That's financial advice.
What's your favorite game?
We got more.
Okay.
My boss has people convinced she's their friend, which is kind of
Girl boss.
Sorry. Go off. Which is making them kind of not want to fight for anything that hard. What should I do?
I've got a great answer to this one. Don't do anything. The boss cannot pretend to be cool for that long. Maybe they can keep it together for a week, maybe a couple months. They're gonna crack, and eventually, like, the power dynamics are gonna be revealed.
Did you guys, were there any people? Well, it sounds like your management was really bad. Was there anyone who thought management was their friend?
Yes. There's definitely some people that thought that, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people that we thought was our friend, let me make this very clear. When it comes to feeding your family due to your job or having a friendship, they're always going to feed their family first. So I don't care how good of a friend you were with this person in the beginning, the minute you stepped outside and they risked their job to get information through or whatever, they're going to try to do that because they're going to feed their family.
Yeah.
Your friendship's out the door. Go to work, do your job, and just know that management's management.
Yeah.
And you guys are the working class.
Yep. They're trying to climb the career ladder, so they're going to kiss anybody's ass they need you to keep climbing, at least in our industry, to keep climbing that corporate ladder, Because being a manager, especially at a casino, ain't even hard.
We didn't know who to trust when we went outside.
Wow.
Like, we went through and deleted everybody, and then all of a sudden they kept requesting us on Facebook, and I'm like, I don't know, that was awful soon. I don't know why they just requested me. I just deleted them 3 minutes ago. Oh, now her husband's requesting me? What's going on? This has to be a scam. You know what I mean? We didn't know who to trust.
How'd you help people get past that mentality of the boss is my friend?
We deleted everybody. We told everybody to delete everybody. Don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we trusted our fellow slot attendants and people that were part of the unit, but as far as management, any supervisors, I deleted everybody.
Yeah.
So did my friends. We regrouped after. You know what I'm saying? But during that time, you don't know. I know you guys were cool before we went outside, but I also know how bad the union busting was before we even went outside. And I know people were fired that had family out there. My son was fired when I was out there for no reason. I mean, they didn't even know the date, couldn't get video footage. There was no reason. It was literally because he knows me. So I trusted nobody in there once I went outside.
Yeah, they cooked up a fallen Jax. They cooked up a false report on her, said she was off on one of her tables, which is not something that this lady would do. And her man was out on the strike line with us, so she went out there to get him water or something. They fired her the next day.
Wow.
For giving him
Yeah.
water.
Yeah,
And it
literally
was
that day. She
super
wasn't
hot.
holding signs or anything. She's like, my man's out here. I'm gonna show some love. What are we doing? This is a human thing. And they canned her right the next day. Suspicious activity, shit like that. I was like,
I feel like
okay.
that's making an argument for just cause right there.
Exactly.
This is probably a really relatable one at this time that the boss is fighting back hard and feeling empowered to do so. This one is, every time people at my job have tried to organize, they've gotten fired. How do you fight for anything
Classic.
when you don't have enough power to fight retaliation?
Yeah, this one's tough because it's I feel like it's everything you guys have been saying, which is I feel like when we organize, we're often talking to people because we think it's worth the risk, and they come to think it's worth the risk. But the risk is real and it happens, and it's important that we always fight back against it, but we don't always. We literally just don't always win. In fact, we lose in the labor movement a lot. But it's now I feel like now I'm getting cheesy. But it's we say when we fight, we win. We don't say when we shout, we shout. We say when we say when we fight, we win. And it is true because it's those fighting back against retaliation, even if we don't win in that particular moment or instance, is so important for, I think, the long-term organizing we're trying to do. It actually reminds me of sorry, I guess we actually are in the business. I was going to say, I'm not trying to sell a book, but we are trying to sell a book.
Wait a minute.
Ellen David Friedman's new book, Keep Going, has some great stories from Amazon, where it's just a place where it's constant retaliation, firing, and churn and turnover, but about how you keep going when the organizing is hard because of this like longer term vision. But yeah, this is obviously something you guys are dealing with.
The turnover was ridiculous, and you know, as we tried to build our members and try to get the majority, it came to a point where I was like, is this ever gonna happen? Like,
Yeah, this started in 2022, the winter.
So frustrated. It would be like we would, you know, get to 60% and then we lose a bunch of people, and then we get back to 67% and then we lose a bunch of people, and I'm like, are we ever gonna do this? You know what I mean? As far as retaliation and people being try to get them fired or whatever, we all knew that this was a thing. They were watching everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They were union busting on
Mic'd
TV.
up the smoke shack.
They mic'd up the smoke shack. They had extra cameras put up. We had to just make sure that we were meeting outside of there. They were watching to see who was handing out cards. So we had a locker that we actually kept the cards in there, and people would just go grab them and drop them off back in the locker. So there wasn't a lot of hand-to-hand because Kathy got wrote up or something, or talked to about doing the union cards.
I think so, yeah. I think it was Kathy.
Not on the floor, not on floor time or anything, on her own time, break time, and they were trying to discipline her for union activity, I guess, and just retaliation, thinking that she was a leader, and you know, that's what they did, was try to see who was the leaders and who did they need to get gone to try to end this, you know. So
yeah, they tried to retaliate. Like, I know they were retaliating against me, so I'm generally a dice dealer and a roulette dealer, and they throw me on like Ultimate Texas and 3-card poker.
On tables you didn't ever go back. And then, like roulette, they're like, well, you didn't hold your palm up when you put the palm down. We're going to have to send you to the office for a ride. Are you serious?
For some coaching.
For some coaching. How I held the pawn. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm really good at gambling, and I go to the casino all the time, so I know exactly what they're talking about.
Let me get you here you go.
I think that's all the time we have for questions today, but thank you all for coming. I do have like some wrap-up stuff I'm supposed to say that's in the ripped up script. Right. Well, the ripped up script was just a piece of paper that said script.
Nobody knows that. They didn't see it. Gosh.
Oh, I think we do have another slide. Oh, oops. Oh, that's my whole computer.
Nobody look. Clear.
We're so professional. Mm-hmm. That's our episode. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please rate us or leave us a review. If you're listening on Podbean at labornotespodcast.podbean.com, download our episode. There are literally, for people listening at home, the room is ankles deep in organizing questions on index cards. We didn't get through them all. So we'll try to get to them on our recorded episodes, or as always, you can send us a voice note about them. Oh, another good way to complain is to just put it in a voice note and send it to podcast@labornotes.org. We might play your rants about your coworkers on the podcast, or even better, organizing questions or stories or wins or just tactics you've been using.
And make sure to name names. We love gossip. The Labor Notes podcast is produced by Danielle Smith, Sindhu Sundar, and myself. Our title music was written and performed by our coworker, Keith Brower Brown. See you next week. Solidarity, y'all.